Hello and welcome to another installment of Liberty Nation's Swamponomics videocast. I'm Andrew Moran, Allen's economics correspondent. Each week, I dive into the morass of top economic news stories and fish out compelling narratives, or I retrieve fallacies that have been accepted as conventional wisdom by the swamp creatures for years. This week, the outrageous, egregious, preposterous, coming $360 trillion debt crisis. The Institute of International Finance, or IIF, recently released a report highlighting that global debt will hit $277 trillion by the end of the year. As governments around the world responded to the coronavirus public health crisis and the economic collapse, the world added another $15 trillion in debt in the first 9 months of 2020. The United States debt, both public and private, will hit $80 trillion this year. The Eurozone, meanwhile, will hemorrhage about $55 trillion in 2020. If interest rates were not artificially suppressed, the debt servicing payments on these obligations would be astronomical and account for larger percentages of federal budgets everywhere. But how bad will it get? Bad. Here is the real whopper. The world's total debt will spike to $360 trillion by 2030, and that is a conservative estimate and based on the best case scenarios. The spending will never stop, and this has been indicated by central banks who are saying they are willing to lend a hand even during the recovery phase of the business cycle. As part of the Great Reset, which is trending worldwide today, politicians, academics, and pundits have expressed the need for governments to spend more, whether it is on climate change, free tuition, or some other progressive cause du jour. As Liberty Nation recently reported, the likes of IMF chief economist Gita Gopinath and Paul Krugman called for bigger stimulus packages to rescue the international economy. It's as if the trillions already being deployed from the printing presses were not enough. If it doesn't happen within the next few years, it will certainly happen by then, a debt crisis. The debt tsunami will force countries, in theory, to start getting serious about their finances. But who are we kidding? This is the government. Officials will ultimately go with something as asinine as a modern monetary theory, or MMT, which is another elaborate scheme of running the printing presses 24/7. Although it can seem like these trillions of dollars worth of IOUs can be tossed into a black hole deep in the recesses of space, the bills will eventually come due, and that is when the tough decisions will need to be made. Until then, the printing press will be running overtime to help create this debt and so-called wealth. Sure, the economy might be revived through endless fiscal and monetary stimulus, but all you're doing is delaying the inevitable, and that is an art form of politicians that have mastered, kicking the can down the road. But what good is the economy when everything you need, like food and shelter, has skyrocketed in price? And then, once price inflation is rampant, the currency goes next. Perhaps this is what the globalists desire, forcing a population in chains and bowing down to their globalist masters. So, in the end, do you declare bankruptcy or destroy the currency? It is a choice between murder and suicide. That's it for me this week. Please read my full Swamponomics column, where I dive deeper into the IIF's report, the Turkish lira, and Argentina's wealth tax. Thank you.
Go deeper on the topic discussed in this video, head on over to one of these links here, or go to our Liberty Nation Roku channel. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for Liberty.